Hello everyone, I am What If, and today we are going to listen to the Adventurous Gamer Ninja. Please support the original author, link in the description. Please like and subscribe. The universe gave me another chance after life screwed me over. My second life brought me to a world where people breathe fire, walk on water, and some people with special eyes that give them #T powers. Well, I got the gamer ability, and I'm gonna use it to stand at the peak. But it's gonna be a long journey before I reach that summit. Disclaimer: I don't own Naruto or the gamer. Please support the official release. Darkness. All around me was nothing but darkness. I couldn't see anything, hear anything, or even feel anything. It was like I was floating in a dark void. How long has it been? How did I even get here? Oh, right. Now I remember. Single quote. Ring. The sound of a bell ringing throughout the school could be heard. That will be all. Class dismissed. Quote. Yes. Hoo-hoo. Finally. Quote. The sounds of a teacher eager to leave and reach home, and students even more eager to enjoy their holidays, came. Almost all the students chatted amongst each other in groups, excitedly discussing their plans to spend their vacation. Amidst all the students enthusiastically chatting, almost no one paid attention to the lone student quietly gathering his things and leaving the class. His name was Thomas Kane. He was the son of a wealthy industrialist, shipped off to boarding school at a young age, and with two older brothers who outshined in everything they did and deemed as prodigies by everyone. Thomas didn't have the motivation to excel in anything. Even though he was above average in IQ and could easily attain top marks in all subjects, his scores in studies were average due to his lack of motivation. During the first few months of boarding school, he tried to make friends. He managed to make a few, but after a short while he figured out they only became friends mostly due to the fact that he came from a wealthy family. He cut ties with them and then found the task of making friends tedious and tiresome. He was smart enough to not make himself a social outcast. He made neither friends nor enemies. He maintained an average score. He had an everyday ordinary life. But there were two things in life he loved: chess and comics. He was very good at chess. Predicting his opponent's moves from the start and outsmarting them by a wide margin was one of his favorite ways to win the game. As he played more and more, he got really good at it. He also played poker with his brothers whenever they would come to visit. He couldn't beat them, but each time they played he learned a couple of his tells that would give him away. So with each game he got a little bit better at trying to control his emotions from showing on his face. He wanted to learn to make the perfect poker face. The second thing in life he loved was comics, manga and anime. He loved them. The stories they tell, the characters they portray. It brought him endless joy reading and watching their adventures. He was a hardcore fan. He spent his days in his apartment alone reading all kinds of comics and mangas he could get his hands on. He fell in love with them from a young age. He enjoyed reading about the different adventures, and he often imagined what it would be like if he were in that world. He left the school and reached his apartment building after about a 15 minutes walk. His apartment was situated on the 3rd floor. The apartment was a modest one, comfortable for a single person. He started climbing the stairs, and as he reached the 2nd floor, he suddenly began to feel dizzy. His hands suddenly grabbed onto the side rails to steady himself. He felt like the world was spinning around him. Wow! What the hell? After a few moments, the vertigo he was feeling slowly disappeared. Oh, man! I must be more tired and hungry than I thought. He slowly started to walk and he reached his apartment doors. Hey, Tommy! Thomas heard the voice of his neighbor. He turned around and saw an old man with a white beard wearing round glasses and a deerstalker hat standing behind him. Hey, mister. Mark. How you doing? Quote, fine kid. Was just gonna go out for groceries. Oh. And I got a package delivered with your name. Quote, Thomas's eyes widened excitedly. It's finally here. Yeah. It's something I ordered from overseas. It's a new comic book series that's recently released. I can't wait to read it. His eager anticipation could be heard in his voice. You really love those books, don't you? Old Man Mark said with a good-humored voice. Hold on. I'll get them for you. The old man turned around and walked back to his apartment, and Thomas took out his keys and opened the doors to his home. The old man came back holding a brown package box. Thomas was about to grab the package box when the vertigo he was feeling earlier came back. The feeling was more intense this time. As Thomas was falling down and blacking out, the last thing he heard was the scared shouts of Old Man Mark. When Thomas regained consciousness and opened his eyes, he realized he was in a hospital room. He saw the hospital gown he was wearing, and he could smell the antiseptics lingering in the air. He tilted his head to the side and saw Old Man Mark sitting beside him in a chair, slowly nodding off. Mr. Mark. Quote, Thomas's voice woke up the old man with a startle, and he looked at the boy lying on the bed. Oh my God. Tommy. You woke up. Hold on, I'll get the doctor. He rushed outside to find the doctor. He returned shortly afterward, and behind him came a man in his late 40s wearing a doctor's coat. Hello, Thomas. I'm Dr. Phillips. The man introduced himself. Thomas nodded to him. You were brought in unconscious, and we did a workup of your blood and did an MRI, and it isn't good. Son. You have stage 3 brain cancer, and it's progressing quickly. We need to start treatment right away. Quote, Thomas couldn't hear anything else. His whole body went numb. He felt as if his whole world was breaking apart. How bad is it? He asked with a low voice. It's really serious. Even with treatment, I am afraid you won't have much time. The doctor replied with a serious tone. Seeing the distraught look on the boy, the doctor decided to give him some time to digest the news. I'll give you two some time. I'll be in my office if you need me, said the doctor, and he left the room. Tommy, I called your parents. They're flying over. They'll be here tomorrow. You're gonna get through this. Old Man Mark said, holding Tommy's hand. I don't. Thomas didn't know what to say or even think. He felt like he was suffocating. All he could hear was the heart that was pounding in his chest. I need some air, he said while slowly getting up. Tommy. Mr. Mark. I need a moment. I'd like some time alone now. Please. Quote, Old Man Mark looked at him with concern and then nodded. I'll wait outside. He slowly left the room. Thomas went to a window and looked outside. It was nighttime, and yet the outside was still buzzing with activity. Tears slowly fell down from his eyes, but he didn't make a single sound. He spent the next few minutes just standing there and looking outside with tears running down his face. He then slowly looked at himself and then around the room. He saw his school uniform folded on a nearby table. Screw this. I'm not staying here. He felt angry and ripped off the gown he was wearing. I gotta get out of here. Quote, he quickly put on his school uniform and left the room. When Mark saw him leaving in his uniform, he was bewildered. Tommy, where are you going? Quote, he asked. Out for a walk. Quote, that was the only reply he got. Mark got up from his chair. It's too dangerous. You need to stay here. Quote, Thomas didn't reply and took off running. He reached the entrance of the hospital and quickly left the place. He didn't know where he was running to. After a few minutes, he reached what looked like a park. He slowed down and came near a bench. Thomas sat down and felt his whole body quivering. Since it was nighttime, there wasn't anybody around. He started whimpering and cried again. This time small sobs started coming out. Thomas sat there crying for some time. He was in denial, but it soon turned to anger. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Damn it, Thomas. Get a grip. Don't let this be your end. He shouted to himself. He quieted down soon after and slowly calmed himself. He was startled when he felt water drops slowly falling on his face. He realized it was starting to rain. Just as he was about to get up from his bench, he saw a shadow moving in between the two trees in front of him. In any other circumstances he wouldn't have cared, but this time, curiosity got the better of him and he started walking slowly towards the two trees. He looked down and saw a fat black cat with golden eyes. Thomas felt as if the eyes of the cat were shining in the dark night. Strong winds started blowing and the rain was getting heavier and heavier by the second. It was as if a giant storm had engulfed the city. Both the boy and cat were staring at each other as the rain continued to pour down on them. Thomas didn't know why or for what reason, but he decided to pick up the black cat and go home. He didn't know why, but when he looked into its eyes he felt as if he was being judged by something far more intelligent than him. He went near the chubby black cat and gently picked it up and slowly started walking and went to the nearest street to call a cab. As he was standing there by the side of the road, soaked in the heavy rain, he suddenly heard a small explosion. He looked and saw scraps of a tire flying everywhere and a car out of control speeding toward him. Oh no! Quote, his eyes widened and before he could even move to get out of the way, the car was right in front of him. The cat in his arms jumped away right before the car sent him flying. He flew back a good 10 feet in the air before touching the pavement. He tumbled a few times on the ground and came to a stop. He could feel the blood flowing out of him and his consciousness slowly fading away. The last thing he saw was the black cat coming towards him and touching his hand with its paw and its golden eyes peering into his own. Dash 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 dash. Am I alive or dead? What is this place? How long have I been here? Then I heard a voice in my head. You have obtained the right to become a player. Do you accept? Closing square bracket. Become a player? Accept? What's happening to me? What does it matter? I'll be dead soon anyway. Your time remaining is limited. Should you refuse, your heart will stop in 3 seconds. Do you accept? Closing square bracket. Whether or not this was a hallucination, Thomas was certain of one thing: his impending death. 2 seconds. At this point, Thomas gave himself up to resignation. He wanted to live. To have a second chance at the life that was taken from him. 1 second. I wanna live. I accept. He couldn't move his lips and utter those words, but he screamed them in his mind. And then a voice answered. Welcome, player. Suddenly something started to change. Wait a minute. What's this feeling? It's as if I'm in a dream and trying desperately to open my eyes. Come on, wake up. Damn it, wake up. Suddenly my eyes opened in a snap. The first thing I saw was a blue box floating in front of me. You have slept in a bed. HP, CP and SP have been fully restored. What the F asterisk CK? I looked around in a daze and found that I was lying on a bed in a room that was definitely not mine. When I saw a window at the end of the room, I stood up from my bed and went to look. The view that greeted me was something I couldn't prepare for. 4 majestic faces adorned a mountain with the sun slowly rising from behind. I quickly realized that what I was looking at was in fact the Hokage mountain. I did a double take and then, what the FCK? Quote, that was my first reaction after realizing that I was in the Naruto universe. Thomas Pav. This can't be real. I have to be dreaming or something. Quote, as I looked at the Hokage mountain and then to the rest of the Leaf Village, I could hear my breathing quicken. My heart started pounding in my chest. My hands trembling from the realization that I had somehow been reborn into a fictional world. A world filled with dangers as well as opportunities. What the hell? Why? How? Who? Quote, taking a deep breath. I tried to calm myself. Okay. Calm down. Thomas. No need to panic. Quote, and then I remembered all the threats that would plague the world. Orochimaru. Akatsuki. Madara. Setsu. Kagaya and beyond. Okay. Small reason to panic. Quote, as I was standing there near the window freaking out, a calmness suddenly washed over me. I felt as if everything would be alright. Wow. What was that? Quote, I brought my hand to my chest and felt my beating heart. The heart that was rapidly beating earlier was now in a calm state. Okay man. Pull yourself together. Think this through. What's the last thing you remember? I asked myself. I went through my memories searching for answers. I remember now. Old man Mark. Hospital. My incurable disease. The park. The cat and then the car that rammed into me. As the memories of my death flashed in my mind, I couldn't help becoming a little sad. Okay. If I was in an accident, shouldn't I be in the hospital right now? Or am I hallucinating and I'm really in a coma and this is my brain's way of helping me cope? Okay, think. What else happened? Quote, then the memories of the black void rushed to the forefront of my mind. I sucked in a deep cold breath of air as I recalled the moments I spent in the darkness. And of the voice that spoke to me. I remember someone saying I was selected, and to accept. What was the last thing they said? Then I suddenly recalled the last words spoken by that mysterious voice. Welcome player. Those words quietly left my lips. I suddenly looked towards the bed and then remembered the blue box notification that was in front of me. It had disappeared, but I could clearly recall what was written inside the box. You have slept in a bed. HP, CP and SP have been fully restored. I quietly said to myself. That's definitely what I saw. I've only seen that happen to one person. And that too in a comic. The gamer. Wait a minute. If that notification appeared in front of me, does that make me a gamer? That can't be. It's impossible. I suddenly stopped and looked outside. I saw the village that woke up and the increasingly bustling street. And then I looked to the Hokage mountain. My eyes carefully observing every inch of the four faces. I put my hands on the window sill and felt the texture of the worn-out wood against my skin. Then I pinched my cheeks with both hands. Ow, I definitely feel pain. Feels all too real. I recalled everything that happened to me a second time. After letting out a deep breath, I came to a conclusion. This is either a hallucination and I'm in a coma, or this is my second chance. All the evidence points me to the latter. And I want to believe it as such. Then the calmness that washed over me earlier must be the ability, gamer's mind. The skill to keep calm in all situations. Then is it possible that I have the gamer's body as well? Need to confirm later. Quote, after coming to the realization that this was most probably my second chance, a smile slowly bloomed on my face. In the Naruto world with a gamer ability. Huh. This will definitely be interesting. But what should be my goal? Quote, as I pondered on this question, an image of Naruto and Sasuke fighting in the final valley at their strongest appeared. It excited me to know that someone with the right tools could become that strong in this world. But at the same time I also remembered the dangers and threats hiding in the shadows. Both threats from inside the village and outside. My first and most important priority is to survive this kill or be killed world. If anyone finds out about my origin or memories or my gamer's body, then I'll end up in prison. Dead or worse, on an experiment table. Definitely can't let that happen. Quote, alright. I need information first. Then training and increasing my strength. When I'm ready, I'll stand at the top of this era. And make the whole world know my name. That's gonna be another of my goals. And I definitely have the best tool with me. I'm gonna give it my all and reach the top. Sorry Naruto. Sasuke. But I'll be taking the spot of the world's strongest from you guys. Quote, I was excited and was going to open the gamer status page, but before I could, I heard a voice and several knocks on the door to my room. Daichi. Are you awake in there? Quote, since I'm the only one in the room, then that means Daichi must be my name in this world. Yes. I'm awake. I quickly answered. The door opened and a brown-haired boy in his late teens came to a stop in front of me. He had a round face, slim build and light brown eyes, and was wearing a smile on his face. Have you only gotten up just now? You haven't even changed. Don't you know how special today is? He asked me in a teasing voice. Suddenly, without warning, a blue box appeared in front of me. A new skill is created with a specific action. Closing square bracket. Through continuous observation. A skill to find target's information. Observe has been created. Closing square bracket. I was taken aback and dumbly said, what? Is there something special about today? Damn it. I have no idea what's going on. I just got here. Although I was keeping a relatively calm face, I was slightly panicking on the inside. Having just gotten the observe skill, I decided the teen in front of me would be my first target. Observe. LV. 30, Jozu Kenta. He helps at the orphanage from time to help out Miss Aiko. He is fond of you. Closing square bracket. Putting a bewildered look on my face, which wasn't that difficult considering the whole situation, I replied, no. Quote, he could clearly see the confusion that was evident on my face. Don't tell me you forgot your own birthday. Or are you just playing with me? Quote, he asked me with a mock suspicious look on his face. Come on. You need to get ready. The head matron wants to see you. I think she has a surprise for you. He said with a smirk. Quest created, report to the head matron. Single quote, the matron of the orphanage wants to see you for something important. Freshen up and get to her office before time runs out. 10:00 minutes. Closing parenthesis. Rewards. Rep increases with matron Aiko. 150 express. First quest completion bonus express. New title. Failure. Rep decreases with matron Aiko. New title. Accept. YN. I was startled by the quest box that appeared, but quickly got a hold of myself and read through the contents. After reading it thoroughly, I accepted the quest immediately. Putting a smile on my face, I replied, yeah. I'll be ready in a few minutes. Tell her I'll be down shortly. Quote, alright. Be quick. He turned around and started walking. Oh. And by the way. Happy birthday, Daichi. That was the last thing he said before closing the door. The moment the door closed, the smile left my face. Oh man. That was close. Who am I? Where am I? I need info on who I am and what year of the timeline I'm in. Quote, just as I was fretting over these questions, a system message appeared in a blue box. System message. Memories of the previous life of your soul which were locked have now been unlocked. Memories of your current life and your unlocked ones are being merged. Merging complete. Good luck. Player. System administrator. New memories came to the forefront of my mind. These must be the memories of this body before I inhabited it. No. Based on what I understand from the system message, my soul is the same as that of my previous life, and the memories of that life were just temporarily sealed. I'm the same person as before. Or at least my soul is. Well, it's a good thing to know I'm not some soul parasite that just took over an innocent kid's body. Quote, so my name's Daichi Hekima. I am now 5 years old. My parents died in the Nine Tails attack. That's a bummer. Currently living in an orphanage. And today is my birthday, March 28th. And the kid who just came was called Jozu. A genin who helps out here. And the matron is a woman in her late 50s named Aiko. Single quote, Okay. Guess that's the when and where, and I've already deduced the how. Guess that will have to do for now. Better get ready and get down there before the timer runs out. Having the gamer's mind definitely comes in handy. Otherwise, I'd be freaking out right now. Quote, as I freshened up and was getting out of my sleepwear, my mind pondered on why the matron would call me so early in the morning today. Whatever it is, I have to be ready, I thought to myself. Putting on some fresh clothes, I stepped out of the room and headed for the office. As I went to the office, I experienced a sense of déjà vu. I was walking down the hall for the first time, but it felt as if I've walked them my whole life. A surreal experience. As I reached the door to the matron's office, I prepared myself for what's to come. Taking a deep breath and letting it out, I knocked on the door 3 times. Come in. The old voice of the matron. My new memories told me. Opening the door, I entered the room and saw Matron Aiko sitting behind a desk with a calm and gentle face. I saw an old man sitting opposite to her with an equally calm but serious face looking me over. I walked a few steps, stopped, and looked around the room. It was a modest one with a shelf half filled with books and some scrolls and a few trinkets. I saw several photos of the kids and staff that were here at the orphanage. I stopped looking around and looked directly at Aiko. You wanted to see me, Miss Aiko? Quote, yes. Little Daichi. I'm glad you came quickly. There is someone here I'd like you to meet. This is Kensai Usagi. He's interested in adopting you. Quote, hearing those words, I looked toward the man and scrutinized him. He had shaggy black hair, a small scar on his left cheek and another running vertically across his right eye. He had a strong build for someone his age, but I can see the cane he uses to walk. The most noticeable feature about him was his left leg, or lack thereof. He uses a peg leg as a prosthesis to walk around. Normal P. O. V. Suddenly several notification boxes appeared. Startling Daichi. Quest. Report to the head matron, completed. Rewards. Rep increases with matron Aiko. 150 Express. First quest completion bonus Express. 500 Express. New title. Capable Child. This title will boost Express rewards by 15%. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. Skill observes level has risen by 1. For the second time that day. Daichi was taken aback and dumbly said, what? Quote. I knew he'd be surprised, but I didn't think he'd be this surprised. Aiko thought to herself, looking at Daichi's shocked face. The old man Kensai Usagi was looking at the boy, and a slight upward curl of his lips could be seen. Thanks to the gamer's mind skill, Daichi regained his calm face quickly and looked at the old man and then at the matron. He used the observe skill on the old man but didn't get any new information. Opening square bracket question mark. Kensai Usagi question mark. He turned to look at the matron and he saw the level and a small description about her. LV 47, Aiko Hikara. She is a chunin who served the Leaf Village for 11 years and then served as a medic in the hospital for 7 more. After retiring, she used her funds to build the orphanage where she currently resides as its head matron. She loves kids and cares deeply for them. She thinks you're a sweet kid and wants the best for you. Closing square bracket. Daichi quickly read through the description and he felt he had a better understanding of the woman. So Daichi, what do you say? Quote, when he heard Miss Aiko's question he looked back at the old man. I could see Miss Aiko's level and some info on her but I don't have anything on the old man. Single quote, that means he's definitely above level 47 and definitely a shinobi. But what kind of a man is he? Someone laid back or serious? Or is he someone ruthless and manipulative and with less than kind intentions? The last one seemed less likely since Aiko's allowing this guy to adopt me. Well, only one way to find out. What I'm about to do is stupid and has risks but at least it'll give me an idea as to who I'm dealing with. Single quote, all of these thoughts flashed through Daichi's mind in a couple of seconds. Stealing his heart. He made a choice. You know, old man. With that peg leg. If you wear an eye patch you'd make a scary-looking pirate. He said with a smile on his face. Let's see how this guy responds. Will he take my words as an insult or laugh it off? Or maybe neither and stay expressionless. Single quote, he noticed Aiko's face sporting a shocked expression out of the corner of his eye. Daichi. That was very rude. Apologize. She exclaimed. Daichi was still looking at the old man's face with a small smile. Suddenly the old man's face had a large grin and he burst out laughing. Ha! Boy! You're not the first person to tell me that. Even I think I'd make a decent pirate with my face. In fact, the ladies would definitely fall for my ruggedly handsome looks. He said in a merry tone. Aiko was taken aback and then slowly a small smile bloomed on her face. For a moment I thought Kensai would be offended but I'm happy to be proven wrong in this instance. Single quote, so kid, what do you say? Wanna come live with me? Kensai asked me with a wide grin. Sure. Daichi replied with an equally wide grin on his face. Well, I am glad you two are happy. Daichi. Why don't you go upstairs and grab your things? Kensai-san and I will be waiting here. Quote, okay. He nodded and left the room. You were right. He's smart. Kensai said after Daichi left the room. Yes. He's much more intelligent than the other kids here. Aiko agreed and added her thoughts. Tell me something? This adoption. Is this just about Hotaru or is there something more? She had a serious expression on her face as asked this question. Kensai looked at Aiko and had a smirk on his face. Maybe I'm just a nice guy and want to give the kid a home. Quote, the matron slightly narrowed her eyes. A nice guy? You and I both know that's not true. The only reason I agreed to this adoption is because we've known each other for over 2 decades. Now tell me. Why now? Why him? Quote, the smile left Kensai's face and he closed his eyes for a moment. The masked face of someone who rescued him during a mission long ago came to his mind. Let's just say that, I'm here to honor a promise. Quote, Daichi's P.O.V. On my way up. A lot of thoughts crossed my mind. Even though Aiko posed the adoption choice as mine, I knew it really wasn't. If every orphan had that choice I doubt many would get adopted. But the 3 main reasons why I decided to accept the offer so readily was because I want some privacy. And I wouldn't have gotten it here in the orphanage. This old man reminded me of my old neighbor Mr. Mark. Kind and helpful. And I couldn't feel any ill intent coming from him. But I am just a child. And that guy is most likely an old shinobi veteran who probably has decades of experience hiding his emotions. So I wouldn't be able to tell even if he was a bad guy. But my gut feeling says that guy cares about me. Although Lord knows why. And the third and most important reason, he's a shinobi who's definitely at least high chunin level or more. My lack of info when I used observe on him proved that much. If I could learn from him during the time I spent in the academy, it would definitely boost my growth rate exponentially. Something that wouldn't happen if I stayed here. There are definitely cons to this as well. He could find out about my gamer body and its abnormalities and report it to the Hokage. He could be a retired root agent and looking to recruit new talents for Danzo's army. Or something else entirely. All risks I will have to take. But the pros definitely outweigh the cons. So this was a decision that wasn't hard to make. Due to making a logical and smart decision. You have obtained +1 WIS. A new blue dialog box appeared. Other than my hands and shoulders slightly twitching, I made no outward reaction. I was starting to get used to the notifications popping up in front of me without warning. An unexpected but not unwelcome surprise. So this also means I can increase my stat points by not just leveling up, huh? Alright. I've waited long enough. Time to check out my status page. Single quote, status, I quietly muttered. A new window appeared containing my information. Name. Daichi Hekima, the gamer. Class. Civilian. Age. 5. Title. Capable child. Level. 3.01 HP. 195. CP. 155. SP. 100. Primary stats. Strength 5. Vitality 4. Dexterity 3. Agility 4. Intelligence 10. Chakra 3. Wisdom 8. Special stats. Locked. 2. See the special stats, at least one of them must be unlocked. Unlocking these stats requires certain actions or reaching specific conditions. Different stats are unlocked with different methods. Closing parenthesis. Stat points 25. Rio 0. Everything looks standard except for 2 stats. My intelligence is highest with wisdom coming in second. It must be due to my previous life. 17 years worth of maturity and intelligence and logical decision-making capabilities. I guess it's only natural that my intelligence and wisdom are higher than the rest. And what the heck are these locked special stats? No. Not right now. I'll do a more thorough research on my gamer's ability later in my own room at the old man's home. I thought to myself and closed the status page. I quickly reached my room and started packing the few belongings I had in a bag. It wasn't much. Just a few pairs of dresses and a few books. As I put what little I owned into the bag, my mind went to my previous life. Mom. Dad, what are they feeling right now? What a stupid question. I'm sure they're heartbroken right now. And my brothers Alex and Simon. I won't get to see any of them again. As the faces of my family came to my mind, tears welled up in my eyes, and before I went into a hysteria, the gamer's mind activated and calmed me down. I rubbed my eyes and took a few deep breaths and got my emotions under control. I can't wallow in sadness or self-pity. I have to move on. Mom. Dad. Alex. Simon, I won't forget you. But I'm going to move on. I have to. I'll make sure to live a good and happy life. Please do the same. I hope you guys will be okay. I sighed and quickly finished packing, and when I stepped outside the room I saw Jozu standing nearby. I used observe on him immediately for the second time that day. LV 30, Jozu Kenta. He is a genin who doesn't have much talent but has a good heart. He failed the Chunin exams 3 times and decided to stay genin and do minimum risk missions. He helps out at the orphanage from time to time to help out Miss Aiko. He is fond of you. Closing square bracket. More information than the first time. Must be because my observe has leveled up. Okay. The first thing I gotta do is level up observe as much as I can as fast as I can. I mulled. I heard the good news. Although I'm sad to see you leave. I am truly happy for you. He said with a sad smile. Jozu was the one I had memories of the most. He taught the previous Daichi to read and write and told him all kinds of stories that made him laugh. He was like an older brother. Well, at least to the previous Daichi, anyway. Still. I couldn't help but feel a small attachment to him. I went to him and gave him a tight hug. "Thank you for everything." He hugged me back just as tightly. After a few seconds, he let go and quickly wiped the few tears he had at the corner of his eyes. "This is way too sappy. Real men don't cry. This is supposed to be a happy occasion. Go on. Better not keep Miss Aiko waiting," he said with a big smile, patting my back. I smiled, nodding at him, and then made my way to the matron's office. Both Kensai and Aiko were waiting for me at the door of the office. Aiko had a gentle smile on her face and asked, "Are you ready, Daichi?" I nodded and then bowed. "Thank you for taking care of me all these years, Miss Aiko. I'll never forget you." Quote, the gratitude in my voice was clear. This was a woman who spent her life serving this village as a shinobi, and then healing others as a medic. And now she spends her days looking after and genuinely caring for children who have no one. I may not know her personally, but this woman deserves my utmost respect. Aiko placed a hand on my shoulder. "Happy birthday, Daichi. This is a new beginning for you, so make the most of it." Quote, I looked at her and nodded, then turned to the old man. We both nodded at each other and slowly made our way out of the orphanage. As I set foot outside, excitement, anxiety, giddiness and all kinds of other emotions welled up in my heart. Like Miss Aiko said, this is my new beginning and this is also my second chance. I am not going to waste it. I am gonna give it my all. Get ready, world. Here I come. Daichi's pav. I felt the warm rays of the sun on my body. The cool morning breeze gently blowing around me. I was so excited I had a small skip in my step. As I looked around, I saw trees of different shapes and sizes and various plants of all colors adorning the sides of the road. This village was mesmerizing. There was no pollution in the air here or the screeching noises of the many vehicles that I was accustomed to back in my old world. With every breath of air, it felt like strength was flowing into my body. As I was walking forward, I realized that the orphanage was situated at the outskirts of the Leaf Village. I took a look back to take in the sight of the building. It was different from the one I remember watching in the story. So this must be another orphanage in the village. I remember reading in the description that this orphanage was built by Aiko with her funds and she was the one running it. Quest created, scout out the village. Single quote, explore and find out more about the village. Find the different buildings and places in the village, 07. Time limit, 7 days. Rewards, 1000 express. Rep increases with Leaf Village citizens. Complete quest in 3 days. New title, bonus. Failure. Rep decreases with Leaf Village citizens. Rep decreases with Kensai Usagi. Accept, YN. I was slightly surprised by a new quest appearing so soon but quickly accepted after reading the contents. I won't say no to more express, and with my knowledge and the time limit of 7 days, it would be easy for me to complete it. I looked towards the old man who was walking beside me with a small smile. So where to? I asked. He had a grin when he answered. Why don't we get some breakfast? I know a place that sells some of the most delicious foods in the village. I gave him a nod and looked ahead. He had a serene expression as his left hand used the cane to help him take each step and his right hand folded behind his back. The old man walked slowly but had a measured gait. I walked beside him looking all around me. What the old man didn't know was that I was using my ability, observe, on everything that I set my eyes on. Observe, oak tree. A tall oak tree that was planted 33 years ago and is home to various species of birds and rodents. It is 72 feet in height and 8 feet in width. The branches reach up to 105 feet in length. It is a healthy tree and has strong and durable wood. Excellent for furniture and carpentry work. The wood of this tree has a small resistance to water. Observe. Small stone, a hard earthen substance that came from a large rock. Mainly used in walls and foundational works. Observe. Squirrel. HP. 18 carbon monophosphide. 8. A flying squirrel from the species of squirrels. It is 4 years old. They are not capable of flight like birds, but they can glide from one tree to another using their wing-like membrane that stretches from wrist to ankles. Skill observes level has risen by 1. Skill observes level has risen by 1. Skill observes level has risen by 1. As I was using observe on everything that crossed my path, the level of the skill increased several times. As I kept walking towards the center of the village, I noticed buildings of all shapes and sizes and various colors. The leaf village was a mixture of nature and city. The trees and various plants intermingled with the different buildings gave this village an elegant natural beauty. I saw more and more people walking down the streets. People opening their shops for business. I even saw a few ninjas jumping on rooftops and disappearing as quickly as I saw them. I saw some teenagers in Chunin vests walking past me. I looked around and at everything in wonder. Like a country bumpkin who just entered the big city. I noticed out of the corner of my eye that a few women were looking at me and giggling at my expression. I felt a blush slowly starting to appear on my face. It's breathtaking, isn't it? The old man asked me. Very. I replied. The old man stopped in front of a small store and motioned me to come inside. I read the small sign hanging on top of the store. Shi Fang's restaurant. Single quote. As soon as I stepped in, I could smell the fragrance of different foods lingering in the air. It was a small, simple restaurant. Only a few people were dining inside at the moment. Even though the restaurant was simple, it was neat and tidy. With an area of little over 17 square meters and around a dozen sets of tables and chairs. It was indeed a small restaurant. You have found a restaurant. Quest progression, 1/7. I glanced at the blue notification box and slightly smiled and dismissed it. Happy at the small completion of the quest, I followed Kensai to a seat. The old man went to a table at the corner and took a seat while I took the opposite chair. Suddenly a young man walked out of the kitchen and headed for us. He had a slim figure and fair skin. His long black hair was tied back into a ponytail with a small wool rope. I quickly used observe on him. LV. 19, Shi Fang. Age. 20. HP. 2738. CP. 2023. Shi Fang is the owner of Shi Fang's restaurant. Even though he trained in the Shinobi Academy for a few years, his dream was to become a chef like his father. He dropped out during the 3rd year of the academy to pursue his dream. 2 years ago he inherited the restaurant from his father after he proved himself as a capable chef and owner. He secretly trains his body and senses to improve his cooking speed and skills. Closing square bracket. 3rd person Pav. Good morning Kensai-san. It's been a while. How have you been, my friend? He asked in a jovial tone. I'm good, little Shi. How's business? Quote, the usual. Things won't get hectic until noon. So I'm free for a while. I'm currently looking for ideas on a new dish. Quote, oh? What kind of a dish? The old man asked curiously. He knew that all the dishes here were made by Shi and they were all delicious. That's a surprise. That was the only reply he got. The young owner then turned his head and looked to Daichi and asked politely. And who might you be, kid? Quote, I'm Daichi Hekima. The boy said with a smile. I decided to adopt him. So now he's my grandson. Kensai added. Rep increases with Shi Fang. She was surprised and then smiled. Good for you, old man. Guess you won't be so lonely in that house anymore. Now then. What will you two be having? Quote, We'll have 2 plates of rainbow dumplings. Quote, coming right up. She left and disappeared into the kitchen. I could smell the fragrance of several foods when I entered this place. So I'm guessing this, rainbow dumplings, is gonna be delicious, huh? Daichi asked, looking at Shi's retreating figure. It is. This place may look small, but I've eaten some of the most delicious foods in my life at this place. Kensai had a small grin when he said those words. Hearing his reply, Daichi got excited to try the dish and was waiting eagerly for it. We have a few minutes before he comes back. So let's have a chat. Kensai's smile disappeared as he said those words. He was calm and collected with no emotions showing on his face. Daichi was only slightly surprised at the sudden change in atmosphere. Even though he smiled and was putting on a cheerful face all this time. He was cautious and had never let his guard down. He knew this was a shinobi village and he had to be extremely careful with every move he made. He knew from the start. The person adopting him could potentially be an enemy. Until he had the strength to protect himself from most threats, he would tread cautiously. This was something Daichi decided after his meeting with Kensai in the orphanage. Without even realizing it, Daichi's body instinctively shifted into a defensive posture and the smile and cheerful expression disappeared. He maintained a neutral face just like the old man sitting opposite to him. About 30 seconds passed by, with neither of them making a sound or movement. Each of them looking at the other with expressionless faces. That's what I wanted to see, Kensai said, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Daichi was confused. What does he mean by that? What did he see? Daichi was only pondering these questions for a few seconds before the answer hit him. He suddenly looked at his clenched hands and the defensive posture his body was in. His eyes widened as he found the answer. He didn't react in the way a normal 5-year-old would. Daichi quickly realized that the old man figured out he was no ordinary child. With the way he schooled his face and his body's fight or flight response, he realized I'm more than the average kid based on my reaction just now. But what triggered him to test me? I doubt he knows about my gamer ability or its abnormalities. But if he thinks I'm some kind of a spy or a threat and decides to interrogate me or report me, I'm doomed. Single quote, I have to find out how much he knows and what he thinks I am. I can't tell him who I really am, but playing dumb won't help me either. And if I lie, it would only get me in trouble. It's best to do this straightforward. Single quote, Daichi quickly looked back to the old man and asked in a serious voice. How long have you known? Quote, Kensai looked at the child in front of him and answered. I see you're choosing the direct approach. Good. That's my style too. So how long have I known that you are much smarter and perceptive than a kid your age has any right to be? Isn't that your question? Kensai asked with a smirk. Daichi looked at him and slowly nodded. Since our first meeting, when Aiko told you about the adoption, you had a certain look on your face and a glint in your eyes. Something I've seen on many shinobi who are deep in enemy territories. It was only for a split second, so I doubt Aiko saw it. But I've been a shinobi for most of my life. So when I saw that calculating glint in your eyes, I instantly recognized it. Quote, the eyes of someone finding himself in an unknown situation and deciding to take a risk after weighing the pros and cons and to figure out the variables. Which in this case is me. And right now your body's reaction to what you perceive as a possible potential threat. The way you reacted to my words. All of that tells me all I need to know. Quote, Daichi was freaking out inside his head. Holy crap. Holy crap. This guy is way too perceptive. I knew I might be caught one day, but not on my first day here before lunch. Oh man. What do I do? Single quote, As Daichi was panicking, a sudden calmness washed over him and he was able to quickly regain control of his emotions and thoughts. Thank you, gamer's mind. Kensai was watching young Daichi's face intently. He saw the myriads of emotions and expressions flashing across his face. Kensai sighed to himself. This kid is smart and intelligent. And perceptive far beyond his age. But he is a total newbie when it comes to controlling his facial expression and emotions. Single quote. Kensai was a bit surprised at how quickly Daichi went from panicking to suddenly keeping a calm face. But he didn't think much of it. He asked with a smug tone. You wanted to see how I'd react. Didn't you? Isn't that why you said I'd make a good pirate? Am I right? Quote. Daichi was surprised even more. He didn't think the old man would figure him out so quickly. He nodded his head. Yes. That was the only answer he gave. So what now? Daichi asked cautiously. When I woke up this morning I didn't think I'd be adopting a genius. Kensai said. Confusion ran across Daichi's face. Genius? What are you talking about? Quote. Kid. Let's not beat around the bush. We both know you're much smarter than those your age. You're keen and perceptive and have a maturity that's not seen in a 5-year-old. Well, most 5-year-olds anyway. Kensai said as he recalled the faces of the handful of geniuses he had met over his lifetime. And the smile was back on his face. Daichi was listening to him with the same calm expression, but he was relieved inside. Oh, thank God. He thinks I'm a genius and not a spy. I can work with that. But I need to know why he adopted me. What he wants from me. Let's see if this old man is willing to give me the answers. Single quote. I have 2 questions. Will you answer me honestly? Daichi asked politely. Go ahead. Kensai nodded. Why did you adopt me? Quote. Kensai's face turned slightly solemn and had a sad smile on his face. He sighed and answered. You remind me of my son. His name was Hotaru. He was killed in the Nine Tails attack 5 years ago. He and I had a strained relationship and over the years we drifted apart. When I saw you a week ago with Aiko buying groceries, it looked like I was looking at a young Hotaru. You have such a resemblance to him. I thought you might be his son. Quote. But judging from your expression, I'm not. Am I? Daichi asked. No. I had Aiko run a blood test. You're not his son. Listen, Daichi. You may not be his son, but I've decided to adopt you nonetheless. I know we may not be related by blood, but from now on I am your grandpa. And I expect you to call me as such. Quote. So your reason for taking me in is because I have a resemblance to your long-dead son. Daichi then smirked innocently and continued. Are you sure it's not because you're getting old and you need someone to take care of you? Quote. I'm still in my 60s, brat. It'll be a couple dozen more years before I would need anyone to take care of me. The tense atmosphere between the two instantly disappeared. Kensai said with a laugh. Then he said. He was smart and cheeky just like you. While not a prodigy, he was definitely above his peers. So you see, it's not just your looks that resembles him. Now you know why I chose you. Quote. Daichi nodded and smiled at him. Thank you for giving me a home. Now for my second question. Why did you decide to test me just now? Quote. I've seen orphaned children lead a difficult life. They are extremely cautious towards new people. They are also a bit smarter and more mature than the children of their age. But I doubt they'd be capable of assessing the advantages and disadvantages of an unknown situation and make hard, smart decisions. Especially when they only have a limited amount of information. And to do it all in the span of a few seconds while keeping a cool face? Very few kids can do that. So I wanted to see which one you were. A cautious, slightly more mature child or a genuine genius. Quote. Come on. What makes you think I'm a genius? Quote, a gut feeling. Besides, you don't talk like a regular kid. Do you? For me, it feels as if I'm talking to an adult, he said with a smirk plastered on his face. Daichi didn't answer the rhetorical question. Just then a tantalizing aroma filled their nostrils and they automatically looked towards the kitchen. They saw Shifang holding 2 bowls heading towards them. He reached their table and placed the food in front of them. Daichi quickly used observe on his food. Observe, rainbow dumplings, a delicious breakfast dish made by Shifang. The inside of the dumpling has 7 layers of vegetables and meat. The ingredients used to make this dish are all of high quality. Shifang uses a special method to cook this dish to ensure that the ingredients retain some of their chakra and most of their vitality. 1 dumpling restores 15 HP and 9 CP. Daichi was incredulous after reading that description. Holy shit. This thing can restore 15 HP and 9 CP. If that's the case, in my current state just 14 of these things and I'll be in full health. I definitely need to check out my inventory and find out if it can preserve food. If it can, I am definitely buying a couple hundred of these for a rainy day. Single quote, 2 white glass bowls with 3 white dumplings each and some soup poured and chopped onions sprinkled over it. The white and glossy, rainbow dumplings, were not radiating rainbow colors despite its name. These dumplings were smooth and translucent, and the fillings inside could almost be seen from the outside. There seemed to be a faint amount of fragrance enveloping the fillings and made the dumpling appear extremely tantalizing. Enjoy, she said and then walked away. All right. Why don't we table our discussion until after we've had our stomachs filled? Let's dig in. You're going to love this place after you've had a taste of these dumplings, Kensai said. Daichi didn't need any more encouragement and he quickly took the chopsticks, picked up a dumpling, and placed it in his mouth. As soon as he bit into the dumpling, he could feel a soft, fragrant smell filling his mouth. He closed his eyes and enjoyed the blissful moment for a few seconds. Delicious. He couldn't help but say those words. Both Daichi and Kensai enjoyed the food and ate at a comfortable, slow pace. They ate the 3 dumplings and finished the soup in about 10 minutes. Both of them were completely satisfied with their breakfast. Happy? Kensai asked the boy. Yes. I definitely have to come back here, Daichi replied. Now then, shall we continue our chat? Daichi simply nodded to Kensai's question. I want you to think long and hard before you answer this question. What do you want to be in the future? Kensai asked in a serious tone. Daichi paused at the question and was about to immediately reply. A shinobi. But he stopped himself and thought about it a bit more. What I want, huh? I want to become the strongest. So I'm definitely going to be a ninja, but is that all I really want? I'm in a world full of possibilities and unknowns. And I bet there are a lot more interesting things out there that the story didn't cover. I have the gamer's ability, the best tool for any situation. So theoretically nothing should be impossible for me. I could learn about all sorts of things. Single quote, as Daichi was having these thoughts, he looked toward the empty glass bowl in front of him. After thinking for a few more seconds he made a decision and he had his answer. Daichi looked at the old man and had a resolute face and gave him his answer. I am going to be a shinobi. Not just any shinobi, but the world's strongest. But that's not all I want. I want to visit all sorts of places. Travel the world. Experience all sorts of things. Try new things. But what I want the most is to not have any regrets. Quote, Kensai heard Daichi's answer and had an understandable expression. A free spirit. Single quote, Daichi. I've been a shinobi for over 4 decades. The years and experiences have taught me that the world isn't black and white. There will be people who will oppose your goals, both outside the village and within, and become your enemies simply because you might become a threat to them. To make your dreams come true and live the way you want, you have to be strong. Stronger than most, if not all. That journey will be extremely difficult. Do you really want that? Kensai asked in a serious tone. Yes. I'm prepared. I won't back down from any challenge that comes my way. Daichi replied without a second's hesitation and with absolute resolve. Rep increases with Kensai Usagi. Seeing the look on Daichi's face, Kensai understood the boy was serious. And he knew the boy understood the challenges that would face him. A strong heart indeed. He had a large grin broadening on his old face. The boy's ambition reminded him of his own when he was a youth. At that moment, Kensai decided he was going to help the boy achieve his dreams. But before he started training the boy, Kensai decided he was going to see just how strong-willed the boy was. If you want to become the strongest, then you're gonna need some intense training. Right now you're 5. I'll let you join the academy next year. So that means we have a year to train and get you to the same level as the clan kids. Now just because you said you wanted to be the strongest doesn't mean you'll become one. I want to see your resolve when your body feels like it's on fire. Prove to me within the next month that you can do more than just talk big. If I'm convinced, then I'll start your training. Quote, hearing the old man's challenge lit a fire inside him. He wanted to prove to Kensai that he could do it. A new quest suddenly popped up. Quest created, get ahead of your peers. Prove to Kensai Usagi that you have what it takes to stand at the top of this world. Convince him to start training you within the month. And then train hard and prepare for the academy. Time limit: 12 months 3 days. Conditions: increase your level to 13 by the time you join the academy. Learn beginner taijutsu and increase it to LV 15. Learn basic chakra control technique and increase it to LV 15. Increase your basic body conditioning to LV 15. Learn beginner shuriken jutsu and increase it to LV 15. Learn 1E rank ninjutsu or more, 0/1. Find out your chakra nature. Unlock any 2 special stats. Rewards: 1500 express. +1 level. +3 to all awakened stat points. +1 LV. To all skills. +12 stat points. Rep increases with everyone. Rep massively increases with Kensai Usagi. New title. Special reward: failure. -2 levels. Rep decreases with the Leaf Village citizens. Rep decreases with Kensai Usagi. Rep decreases with academy teachers. Rep decrease with the Rookie 9. New title. Accept, YN. After reading through the quest, Daichi became excited. He immediately accepted it and was determined to complete it. Right after he accepted the quest, a new one popped up. But the quest box only had a few lines with no reward or failure. Daichi was surprised and confused at the second new quest. Quest created, Path to the Strongest, locked. This quest can only be opened by successfully completing the quest, Get ahead of your peers. Failure to open this quest will significantly increase your chances of meeting death within the next 7 years and certain death within 9 years. Well, that's not ominous at all. Daichi thought sarcastically.